lesson of phase V from last week. Last week, I think we discussed the sine, cos, tan graphs, and today we have to draw another few graphs first. After that, we come to the next part of the trigonometry today. Right, we will now today, as the first one, I first draw the sine theta graph. I'm drawing now here sine theta graph. This is theta axis, and this is sine theta axis, right? This is minus angle axis minus sine theta axis, right? Now this is the origin. I'll take here 180, that means pi, no? And this is 360, 2 pi, right? And then this is minus pi and minus 2 pi. We notice the maximum value this sine theta can take is 1, minimum value is minus 1. I will take like this, 1 here, minimum value is minus 1 here. Right. And 90 is exactly in between 0 and 180, you know. 90 is on the midway, of these 2 points. Yeah. So therefore, here we have 90. It's pi by 2. And 270 is here, 3 pi by 2. And minus 90 is here, minus pi by 2, minus 270 is here. Okay. Now we notice that sine 0 is 0, 90 here, sine 90 is 1, this is the point, sine 180 is 0, sine 270 is minus 1, sine 360 is 0, and this way sine minus 90 is minus 1, okay, and sine minus 180 is 0, sine minus 270 is plus 1, sine minus 360 is 0. Then we sketch the graph like this. Right. This is a graph. This is a graph of y equals sine theta. In between minus 360 and plus 360, the graph of sine theta is this. Even today we are going to draw this graph. Y equals sine theta minus 30. Now, last week we drew without subtracting this way an angle from theta. Y equals sine theta, last week we drew. That is the graph this. Today we are going to draw subtracting 30 degrees from this theta. Then see how to draw this graph. Okay, now this is how we just logically think. People, now when we consider sine theta graph, first here consider y equals sine theta. Today we are going to draw y equals sine theta minus 30. Right. You know, in sine theta graph, this is the graph, no? This theta axis, this theta should be pi by 2 for this height to be 1. To get the height 1, this angle should be pi by 2. That means when this theta is pi by 2, then only this y becomes 1. Sine 90 is 1, no? Right. Now think here. In drawing this one, to get for this y, this value 1, to get this value as 1, this theta minus 30 should be equal to what? Pi by 2, no? For the theta minus 30 should be pi by 2. this angle should be pi by 2. Huh? Theta minus 30 angle should be pi by 2. If this is 90, sine 90 is 1. This is coming. That means, people, if you subject theta, take this minus 30 to right hand side, pi by 2 is 90 plus 30. That means theta 120. Now think like this. When we put here theta 120 only, 120 minus 30 is 90, sine 90 is 1. Then when we draw this sine theta minus 30 graph, it's the height 1. This height 1 occurs where, people? Theta at 120. This is the theta axis. This is the theta axis. When theta takes 120 only, put here 120, 120 minus 30, we get 90, sine 90 is 1. This height becomes 1 for this graph when theta is 120. Why is 120? Here 90, another 30 we have to go to right. Then we get 120. At that 120 only, the same height this occurs. What is that height? 1. This. People, what do you get by this? When we compare the sine theta graph, in the sine theta graph, this height occurred exactly theta is 90. When we draw this y equals sine theta minus 30, subtracting 30 from this theta. Now for this angle, the same height, 1 becomes on the right passing another 30 degrees. That means at 120. People, then can you see this way when we discuss, right? This way when you discuss all the points, right? Now comes another one. This is sine theta graph. Here 180. At 180, sine 180 is 0. So the next one, here y equals sine theta. This y becomes 0 when theta is 5. Okay. Now, in order to get for this difference, theta minus 30, after taking theta minus 30, if that difference is 180, what should be this theta? Theta should be 210, no? If theta is 210 only, 210 minus 30 is 180, sine 180, 0 occurs. That means, in the sine theta graph, this 0 occurs exactly at 180. But this graph, in this graph, to get y0, theta should be 210. That means, passing this point to the right 30. People, can you see it this way when you consider every point on the sine theta graph? Do you get particular feeling that this graph y equals sine theta minus 30? This graph we can very easily obtain. How, people? Shifting or pushing this sine theta graph to the right by 30 degrees. See here. This is the point on the sine theta graph, and this is the corresponding point on sine theta minus 30. This has gone to right by 30. This also gone to the right by 30. So therefore, do we get a particular hint here? This graph, y equals sine theta minus 30 graph, can easily be drawn by using this y equals sine theta graph. How? The sine theta graph, we shift to right without shifting up and down. We shift the sine theta graph to rightward by 30 degrees. Understand? So therefore, here enough, remember, when an angle is subtracted from this theta, right, the new graph can be drawn whenever we have minus. When we have minus sign, people remember that original graph we can shift to right to obtain the second graph. Similarly, we can argue, people, if we have here plus sign, that means y equals sine theta plus 30. Y equals sine theta plus 30. Then how to draw this graph? This graph can be drawn shifting the sine theta graph to the left by 30 degrees. Understood? So therefore, as a rule, remember, if we have minus sign, the original graph we have to shift to rightward by this value. If we have plus sign, we have to shift the original graph to the left, right? Minus right plus left. Understand? That is how we draw the graph subtracting an angle or adding an angle, right? This is the first part today you must understand. Understood, people? Right. Okay, now we'll come to the way that means heading like this. ළමයි මෙතන ඇත්තටම වෙන්නේ මේමයි. අපි ගත්තොත් ඉතින් බලන්න මේ y equal sin theta ගේ thetaට 5/2 දැම්මොත් තමයි sin 5/2 ඇවිල්ලා y equals 1 වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි මෙන්න මෙයා අඳිනකොට y equal sin theta minus 30 මෙයා ගත්තාම මෙතෙන්ට 30 subtract කරලා පස්සේ 30 subtract කරාට පස්සේ 90 උත්තරයට එන්න නම් thetaට 120 දෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙනම් මෙතනදී theta 90 වලදී වෙච්ච වැඩේ මෙතනදී theta 120 වලදී තමයි වෙන්නේ. ඇයි 30 subtract කරපු නිසා. මේ graph එකේ theta 90 වලදී වෙච්ච වැඩේම මේ graph එකේ වෙන්න theta 120 වෙන්න ඕනේ. Understood? The thing occurred in this graph exactly at theta 90 occurs for this graph where at 120. That means that says ඒ කියන්නේ ළමයි sin theta graph එක දකුණු පැත්තට shift කරපුවම නෙවෙයි වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් හරිද? දැන් ඊළඟට අපි ගමු මෙහෙම y equal sin theta graph එක අපිට දෙනවා. ඒකල අපිට කියනවා ළමයි මේ බලන්න sin theta plus 30 අඳින්න කියලා. හරි. එහෙනම් මේකේ theta 90 වෙනකොට වෙන දේ මේ ඇන්ගල් එකේ මෙන්න මේ සම් එක 90 වෙන්න නම් theta කොච්චරක් වෙන්න ඕනද? theta 60 වෙන්න ඕනේ. well theta 60 වුණා 60 plus 30 90 හැදෙනවනේ. එහෙනම් මෙතන theta 90 වලදී වෙච්ච වැඩේ මෙතනදී කරගන්න thetaට ඕනේ 60 විතරයි. එහෙනම් අර 90 වලදී වෙච්ච වැඩේ මේ graph එක අඳිනකොට ඊට කලින් වෙනවා. 30 කලින් වෙනවා. මොකද 30 ඇඩ් කරලා තියෙන හින්දා thetaට තව 60 තමයි ඕනේ 90 වෙන්න. ඒකයි කියන්නේ. ඇඩ් වුණොත් ළමයි thetaට ඇඩ් වුණොත් graph එක වම් පැත්තට ගේන්නේ subtract වුණොත් graph එක දකුණු පැත්තට ගෙනියන්න අර subtract වෙන angle එක. හරි නේද? Right? Yeah. Okay, then we'll take down this way. Right? Write down as a note. Number 1, the graph of y equals sin theta minus alpha. Right? The graph of y equals sin theta minus alpha. Or y equals cos theta minus alpha. Cos theta minus alpha. Right? Can be obtained by shifting the graphs of y equals sine theta and y equals cos theta to the right by an angle of alpha. By an angle of alpha. By an angle of alpha. Next one, people. The graph of y equals sine theta plus alpha. O. Y equals cos theta plus alpha. Can be obtained by shifting the graphs of y equals sine theta and y equals cos theta to the left. By an angle of alpha. By an angle of alpha, respectively. Include this word, people, respectively. Here also, respectively, you have to write if you haven't written down that there. Respectively. Right? Yes. Right. Now, we'll come to an example. At this question, sketch the graphs of y equals sine theta minus 30 and y equals cos theta plus 30. Right. First, draw the sine theta graph, people. And to get this one, shift that sine theta graph. Since here we have minus sign, shift that sine theta graph to the right by 30. And to get this one, people, first draw the cos theta graph. Since here we have plus sign, to draw this one, cos theta graph you have to bring to the left by what? 30 degrees. Understand? හරිද ළමයි? ඉතල sin theta graph එක අඳින්න. මෙයා ගන්න මොකද කරන්නේ? minus 3 හින්දා sin theta graph එක 30 වලින් දකුණු පැත්තට තල්ලු කරන්න. ඒක අඳින්න. මෙයා ගන්න cos theta graph එක ඇඳලා plus 30 හින්දා cos theta graph එක ගන්න වම් පැත්තට 30 වලින්. the graph දෙකක අඳින්න. right. පටන් ගන්න බලන්න. Right. First, I am going to draw people the sin theta graph. අපි ඉස්සරෝම sin theta graph එක අඳිමු ළමයි. දැන් අපි ඉක්මන sin theta graph එක අඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි අපි ඉක්මනට අඳගමු. Here pi, 2 pi, theta axis, minus pi, minus 2 pi. Here minus pi by 2, minus 3 pi by 2, plus pi by 2, plus 3 pi by 2. Maximum value is 1, minimum value is minus 1. And here 0. This is 91, 180. And people 270, it's minus 1, no? I am first drawing this sine theta graph, no? Minus 270 plus 1 the sine value. Then sine theta graph we can draw. Now we need the sine theta minus 30. When we have minus people, we said what? This graph, sine theta graph should be shifted to right by 30. So you have to get rough idea about 30-degree gap. The distance here to here, this gap represents what? 90. This gap, the gap from here to here, no? It is 90. This gap is 90. To get 30, you have to divide this into 3 parts. Then 30 is this much. Then 30, this gap represents 30 degrees. Then this graph should be shifted to right by 30. Then මේ graph එක right hand side එකට 30 degrees වලින් shift කරන්න ඕනේ, තල්ලු කරන්න ඕනේ. හරි. Then what happens? This point comes somewhere here. මේ point එක මේ වගේ තැනකට තල්ලු වෙනවා. Right, now in this gap, when we divide this gap into 3 parts, one part is this, that is 30. Then this highest point going to right by 30. හැම point එකක්ම graph එකේ තියෙන දකුණු පැත්තට 30 වලින් තල්ලු වෙනවා. හරි ලේසි. ඒතකොට මේ important points. Maximum point එකයි, minimum point එකයි, theta axis එක කැපෙන තැන ටිකයි විතරක් shift කරන්න දකුණු පැත්තට. ඒක ලේක join කරගත්තා නම් හරි. Then this point also going to right by 30. This point also going to right by 30. This point also going to right by 30. That's correct. Then this goes to right by 30. This goes right by 30. This goes right by 30. This goes right by 30. Then join them. I'm going to join them by a dotted line like this. Dotted curve like this, not line, huh? This is the graph of y equals sine theta minus 30. Understood, right? This graph shifted to right. This graph is people y equals sine theta. Right. Now, second one is draw the graph of this y equals cos theta plus 30. Before drawing that, people, first draw y equals cos theta graph. Draw the y equals cos theta graph. Draw the y equals cos theta graph. And then, since there 30 is added, this cos theta graph you have to shift to left by 30 to get that y plus cos theta plus 30 graph. Right. Draw that one, people. I'll give you a few minutes. විනාඩි කිහිපයක් දෙන්නම් ළමයි ගන්න බාන්නේ උත්තරේ. ඒ graph එක ගන්න. We'll draw cos theta graph, right? Cos 0 is 1. This is that point. Cos 90 is 0. Cos 180 is minus 1. Cos 180 is minus 1, people. Cos 270 is 0. Cos 2 pi is plus 1. Cos theta graph එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවනේ යන්නේ නේද? එදින ඇඳගෙන cos theta graph එක තමයි. Cos minus 90 is 0. Cos minus 180 is minus 1. When minus 180, the value is minus 1. Here, this is the point. Cos minus 270 is 0. And this is 1. Cos minus 2 pi means minus 360. It's 1. Right. Now, this is the graph of y equals cos theta, right? Now, we need y, what people? Y equals cos theta plus 30. Since we have added 30, to get this graph, we have to shift the cos theta graph to left. හරිද ළමයි? මෙතන 30 add කරලා තියෙන හින්දා cos theta graph එක වම් පැත්තට 30 වලින් ගන්න ඕනේ. හරි. එතකොට මේ highest point එක lowest point එක මේ theta axis එක කපන points ඒ ටික විතරක් 30 වලින් මම පැත්තට ගෙනල්ලා මාක් කරගෙන ඒ ලැබෙන points ටික join කරන්න. මෙයා එනවා මේ වගේ තැනකට. 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 comes here. Comes here. Comes here. Comes. Then point comes here, right? Of is y equals cos theta plus 30. This cos theta graph we shifted to left by 30, right? Cos theta graph is shifted to the left by 30 degrees. Okay, that is the first thing you must understand. Okay, right, now we'll come to another one, the next thing. Suppose we have this three people, y equals x line, y equals x line, and y equals x plus 1. Y equals x line, මේ y equals x line එක කියන්නේ ළමයි that passes through the origin, making an angle 45 with x axis. Y equals x line එක ඕගොල්ලෝ ඕලවලට ඇඳලා තියෙනවනේ. ඔය line එක මේ origin එක හරහා යනවා x axis එකත් එක්ක 45 degree හදලා. ඒක නෝ line එක. ඒ තමයි y equals x line එක. y equals x plus 1 line එක ඕගොල්ලෝ ගත්තොත් ළමයි, when you take this y equals x plus 1 line, this line, you know, its intercept is 1. That cuts the y-axis where at 1 here. This is the 1. That line is passing like this. If you draw this both lines on the same graph paper, you can notice, people, this y equals x plus 1 line, this one, can easily be obtained shifting or lifting this y equals x line upward by 1 unit. ඕන පෙනේ ළමයි මේ graph එකයි මේ graph එකයි දෙකම එකම graph paper එකේ ඇන්දට පස්සේ ඇන්දොත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේමෙයි මේ graph එක ගන්න පුළුවන් මෙන්න මේ graph එක unit එකකින් උඩ පැත්තට ඉස්සුවොත්. එහෙනම් ළමයි මොකක්ද උතන තියෙන මේ graph එකෙන් මේ graph එක ගන්න relation එක මොකක්ද? hint එක මොකක්ද? මේ බලන්න. මේ දකුණු පැත්තට to the right hand side, people, here added 1. Added 1.
If we add like this, people, the new graph can be obtained by what? Lifting upwards by the units added here. The new graph can be obtained by this graph, lifting this graph upward by what? 1 unit. Similarly, people, if we need to draw y equals x minus 1 graph, y equals x minus 1 graph, by using this y equals x graph, we can draw this y equals x minus 1. Since here subtracted, this graph can be obtained lowering this graph y equals x downward by 1 unit like this. Then this is minus 1. Right? Like that, people, suppose this way. We need to draw y equals sine theta plus 1 graph. Here, to the sine theta, 1 is added. Then you will get a particular method, a hint to draw this graph. Y equals sine theta plus 1. How to draw this graph, people? Since 1 is added, the sine theta graph, this is the sine theta graph. Using this sine theta graph, this sine theta plus 1 graph can be obtained how? Lifting this sine theta graph upward by 1 unit. Lifting this sine theta graph. We don't shift that to left or right. We lift this upward by 1 unit because 1 is added. Understand? Secondly, people, if we need to draw y equals cos theta minus 1. From this cos theta, 1 is subtracted. Then how to get this graph? By using the cos theta graph. Since here 1 is subtracted, the cos theta graph, this is the cos theta graph. That cos theta graph, we have to lower downward by 1 unit without shifting left or right. We have to lower that by 1 unit. Understand? So that is our next part. Okay? Right, people, then we'll write that as a note like this. Note number 1. Write down the graphs of note number. Next note, write down, people. It's number 1. The graphs of y equals sine theta plus a. O, y equals cos theta plus a. A means a real number. Can be obtained by lifting the graphs of y equals sine theta and y equals cos theta upwards by simple a units. Upwards by simple a units. Respectively. That is first note. That's the first note. Right, because second note, write down. Second note, write down. Number 2, the graphs of y equals sine theta minus a or y equals cos theta minus a. Y equals cos theta minus a. Can be obtained by lowering can be obtained by lowering the graphs of y equals sine theta and y equals cos theta downwards by simple a units. Respectively. Right. Okay, now people. Now we'll come to one question. Next one. Sketch the graphs of y equals sine theta minus 1 and y equals cos theta plus 1. ළමයි කොහමද අදින්නේ? roughly sin theta graph එක අඳ ගන්න. මේ තියෙන එක. -1 තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ පටලවා ගන්න එපා ළමයි. කලින් අපි subtract කරේ angle එකක්. ඕ add කළේ angle එකක්. People don't get confused here. Right, no? Right. Okay. And here, this graph can be obtained lifting this cos theta graph upward by 1 unit. So then people draw the sin theta graph first, and to draw this graph, bring the sin theta graph downward by 1 unit. To get this one, draw the cos theta graph, lift this cos theta graph upward by 1 unit. හරිද ළමයි? මෙයා ඇඳ ගන්න ඉස්සරම sin theta graph එක අඳින්න. ඇඳලා sin theta minus 1 ඇඳ ගන්න අර sin theta graph එක යුනිට් එකකින් පාත් කරන්න. sin theta graph එක යුනිට් එකකින් පාත් කරන්න. හරි. මෙයා ඇඳ ගන්න නම් cos theta graph එක ඇඳලා ඒ cos theta graph එක යුනිට් එකකින් උස්සන්න. ඉතින් යුනිට් එකකින් උස්සනකොට ළමයි මෙහෙමනේ වෙන්නේ. බලන්න මේකනේ cos theta graph එක. මේකනේ cos theta graph එක ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ. right? හරි. මම ඒකේ අනිත් graph එක චුට්ටක් මහලා මෙයාම පාවිච්චි කරන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ cos theta graph එක අඳින්න බලන්න. මේක ළමයි cos theta graph එක. හරි? දැන් එකක් ඇඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙනම් මේ මුළු graph එකම උස්සන්න ඕනේ එකකින්. ඉතින් මුළු graph එක එකකින් උස්සනකොට ළමයි මෙන්න මේ top උඩම තියෙන එක කියන value එකට මේ point එක තව එකකින් උඩට යනවා. එතකොට මේ point එක තියෙන දැන් කොහෙද? 2. This point will be at 2 exactly. Here 0 no people. This 0 level goes to 1. 0 level එකේ තියෙන කට්ටිය යනවා එක ළඟට. එකකින් උස්සනකොට. And this minus 1 level points all go to 0 level. Then first mark those points, right? Then I am going to take this point as 2, and then this goes to here. This goes to 1. This goes to 0. This also going to 1. මේක යනවා ළමයි දෙකට. Goes to 1. Then what is the graph? This. This is the people, the graph of y equals cos theta plus 1. This cos theta graph is going up. This it goes up. Right. Now, people, how to take this sin theta minus 1? The sin theta graph we have to bring downwards by 1 unit. Now sketch that too. First sketch sin theta graph in a separate diagram, and then draw the sin theta minus 1 graph by lowering that by 1 unit. Understood? Right. I'll use this diagram here. When we lower this sine theta graph downward by 1 unit, sine theta graph එක ළමයි එකකින් පල්ලෙහාට දානකොට එකකින් තැන් වල ඉන්න කට්ටිය 0 වලට එනවා. 0 වල ඉන්න කට්ටිය -1 වලට එනවා. දැනටමත් -1 වල ඉන්න කට්ටිය -2 දක්වා පල්ලෙහාට එනවා. Understood people? The top points which are at the level of 1 come to 0. The points which are at the 0 level come to -1. The points which are at the moment -1 level go to -2 level. Understand? Then find those points and mostly join them. Right. Start with Ananda Illangakoon. Right. This highest point come to 0. The point 0 come to -1. -1 point come to -2. The graph of y equals sine theta -1. Ananda Illangakoon. Sine theta -1 is this. Hurry. Now people, suppose you are given another graph to draw like this. Suppose this way, y equals cos theta -60 plus 1. Can somebody tell me how to draw this graph now? Y equals cos theta -60 plus 1. කොහොමද ළමයි මේක අඳින්නේ? මෙහෙම හිතන්න. මේක චුට්ටකට අමතක කරන්න. Forget this for a while. So what do you have here? Y equals cos theta -60. From theta 60 subtracted. Then how to draw this graph? Cos theta -60 graph? By drawing cos theta graph, since this time the angle 60 is subtracted from theta. Then how to draw this graph? Cos theta graph, we shift to rightward by 60. Understand? Okay. Then we get this graph. Now 1 is added. That shifted graph to the right by 60, since 1 is added here, should be lifted upward by 1 unit. තේරුණාද ළමයි? එහෙනම් ඕගොල්ලෝ කරන් තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද මේ graph එක අඳින්න? cos theta graph එක ඇඳලා -60 තියෙන හින්දා cos theta graph එක දකුණු පැත්තට 60 වලින් තල්ලු කරනවා. එකක් ඇඩ් කරලා තියෙන නිසා ඒ තල්ලු කරපු graph එක එකකින් උස්සන්න. එතකොට ලැබෙනවා මේ graph එක. හරි නේද? Okay, then shall we draw that graph? Yeah, come to that one as the next example. Right. Write down this way. The next question. Sketch the graph of y equals cos theta minus 60 plus 1. cos theta graph එක අඳින්න 60 වලින් තල්ලු කරන දකුණු පැත්තට එකකින් උස්සන්න. right. බලමුද අපි ඒක අඳින හැටි. මම cos theta graph එක මෙයාම ගන්නම්. තමයි 60 වලින් දකුණට ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ නේද? එහෙනම් මෙහෙම කරමු අපි. එකම වැරම points දෙකම ගමු අපි. මොකක්ද points දෙකම ගන්නවා කියන්නේ? දැන් අපි cos theta minus 60 graph එක ඇඳලා ඊට පස්සේ ඒක එකකින් උස්සන්න යන්නේ නැතුව වෙන්න ඕනේ මේකට ළමයි. මේ graph එක 60 වලින් දකුණට තල්ලු කරලා එකක් උස්සන්න ඕනේනේ. We have to shift this graph to rightward by 60 degrees, and thereafter that should be lifted upwards by 1 unit. That's what we need to do. What I'm trying to tell you people, both that actions will implement in one step. ඒ දෙකම එකවර කරමු අපි. එහෙනම් මෙහෙම නෙන්නේ නේද? මේ බලන්න. දැන් මේ point එක මේ graph එක මේ point එක ගැන අපි හිතමුකෝ. We'll think about this point only people. මේ point එක ගැන හිතමුකෝ. graph එක දකුණු පැත්තට තල්ලු කරනකොට මේ point එක දකුණු පැත්තට 60කින් යනවා. That graph will lift upwards by 1 unit no. එහෙම කරපු graph එක එකකින් උස්සනවනේ. එහෙම උස්සනකොට මෙතෙන්ට ආපු point එක එකකින් උඩට යනවා. එහෙනම් මොකද්ද ළමයි මේ ඉම්ප්ලිමන්ට් මේ ස්ටෙප්ස් දෙකම එකවර කරන ක්‍රමය? මේ points නේ අපි use කරනවා කියලා කිව්ව අලුත් points හොයාගන්න. ඔය හැම point එකක්ම 60 වලින් දකුණට ගිහිල්ලා එකකින් උඩට ගෙනියන්න. ඒකල මාක් කරගන්න points. එක sketch කරන්න. and join කරන්න. Understood people? Those important points to draw the new graph, we take these no people, this point, this point, this point, this point, and this point no. Every point you have to bring to right by 60 and bring upward by 1 unit. Then mark the new point and join those resulting points by a curve. Then we get the new curve. Understood people? I think you can do this now. Take that. Then 60 වලින් යනවා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මෙතනලා මෙතෙන්ට 90. එහෙනම් 60 වලින් යනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේක we divide this into 3 equal parts. Then one part is 30. 30 30 60. එහෙනම් මේ point එක මෙච්චරක් දකුණු පැත්තට එනවා. අපි කුසනෝනේ එකකින් එහෙනම් එකකින් එක යනවා දෙකට එතන. It goes to 2 here. This point goes to right by 60. Then that is raised upward by 1. Then that point goes to the level 1 here. Are you lamai? Level 1 volt ekama. Like that. Catch the points. This goes right by 60. take upward by 1. It goes to right by 60. That comes to here. Point goes to right by 60, goes to 2. In this end, the graph is this. Mark the points. Equals theta minus 60%. Okay, now people. Right, finish this. Right. Right, now see people next. Next one, think like this. Suppose we have y equals 6 graph. Y equals 6 graph. And y equals 2x graph. You know, y equals 6 graph, when we draw, that graph is a straight line passing through the origin, making an angle 45 with the x-axis. Right. Okay. Because now, when I construct a small table to draw this y equals 6 graph, in your levels you drew this line by making a table. එක ටේබල් එකක් හදලා තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ xy points එක හොයාගත්තේ. මේ ටේබල් එක දැම්මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ මෙහෙමනේ මෙවන්න x value එක දැම්මා y දැම්මා. x දැම්මා -1 අපි දැම්මා -2 -1 දැම්මා 0 දැම්මා 1 ඊට පස්සේ 2 වගේ value එකක් දැම්මේ නේද අපි. මෙහෙමනේ ටේබල් එක අපි roughly හදාගත්තේ. ඔය x values වලදී at this x values people we need to find y. When we put each of these x value where here, y also taking the same x value we put. So therefore, y is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 we get. Then how do we draw this graph? Taking the graph paper. First we draw the x-axis and y-axis and mark this point when x equals -2, y -2. X equals -2 is here. Here this is -1. Here -2. When x equals -1, y is -1. Here -1. When x equals -2, y is -2. This way we mark the points. Right? And like that, when x equals 0, y is 0, this point. X equals 1, y is 1, this point. X equals 2, right? Y is 2. This point. Then by plotting like that, the points, we do this. We join the line. People, when we draw this one on the same diagram, here also when we prepare that table, you can get another relation between these two graphs. Right. See here, when I put x equals -2, 2 into -2 is -4. -1, -2, 0, 0, and 2, 4. Tell me, මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ බලන්න. X equals, I take this one, when x equals 1, y is 1. For the graph, y equals 6. X equals 1 වලදී ළමයි, y ගත්තේ 1, මෙන්න මේ y equals 6 line එක අඳිනකොට අපි. මේක බලන්න. Look at these people, when x equals 1, y is 2. When we draw this one, what has happened? When x equals 1 here, in this graph, y is 1, no, this height is 1. This height should be multiplied by this 2. When you multiply this height by this 2, we get what? This 2 comes. So therefore, people, when we draw this graph, by using this graph, we are supposed to draw this graph. People, what is the method? Method is this. At a particular value of x, what is this height available in this graph? That height should be multiplied by 2 because of here we have 2. Then this 1 is the height. When you multiply this 1 by 2, the new height going to be 2 because 1 into 2 is 2, no? Then when x equals 1, y is 2. That means, people, this x, when we multiply by particular value, here it is 2, to draw this one, what we need to do is, at a particular x value, this height should be multiplied by 2 and mark the new point. And the points are found like that. තේරුණාද ළමයි? මේ graph එක use කරලා මේ graph එක අඳිනකොට මොකද්ද ක්‍රමය? මේ graph එකේ කිසියම් x අගයකදී තියෙන height එක මෙතන value එකකින් වැඩි කරලා ලැබෙන අලුත් height එක තමයි අලුත් point එක අර graph එක අඳිනකොට. Understood, people? Using this graph at a particular value of x, measure the y value, multiply that by this figure, and take the new height. That new height corresponding point is the point required for the graph to draw this. Understood? එහෙමනම් ළමයි අපි ඕකම apply කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙයාටත්. Y equals 2 sin theta අපි අඳින්නේ කොහොමද? y equals 2 sin theta අපි අඳින්න කොහොමද ළමයි? මේ 5/2 වලදී height එක එකයිනේ. මෙතන 2 වලින් ඉන්නේ multiply වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් 5/2 වලදී මේ තියෙන height එක 1 දෙකෙන් වැඩි කරොත් 1 into 2 is 2. Then the new height at x equals 5/2 is what? 2. Then this height should go to 2. Our new point is this. This height is 2 now. Like that. Here the height, no height, 0. 2 and 0 is 0. For this it is 0. What is this height? Minus 1. Minus 1 into 2 is what, people? Minus 2. Like that, we can find the new points, and by joining them by a smooth curve, we get the new graph. Understand? Then we have to take that as a note. We'll take that also as a note. එකත් අපි note එකක් දීලා ගමු. Right. Write down as note. Write down the graphs of y equals k sin theta or y equals k cos theta. Y equals k sin theta or y equals k cos theta. Can be obtained by multiplying the y values, by multiplying the y values by simple k, by simple k without changing the theta value. 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 Then we'll draw like this. Come to question. Sketch the graphs of y equals 2 sin theta and y equals minus cos theta. How do you get this minus cos theta? Multiply this cos theta by minus 1. Multiply this cos theta by minus 1. Right. People, I'll give you 5 minutes. First draw this graph, the two graphs. Right. Hurry up. Then to draw the first graph is 2 sin theta. How to draw that now? This height is 1. This height, every height we multiply by this 2. And this corresponding angle we don't change here and there. At the same angle only the new height is taken. Keronda lamai මේ උස තමයි අපි මේ 2 වලින් multiply කරන්නේ. එතකොට ලැබෙන අලුත් උස ලියනවා අපි. හැබැයි මේ angle එක කොහොමදත් අපි වෙනස් කරන්නේ නැහැ. angle එක එහෙම තියාගෙන උස විතරක් මේ figure එකකින් multiply කරනවා. ඒ ලැබෙන අලුත් උස තමයි අර angle එකකින් අපි ගන්න. Understood people? We multiply the height by this 2 and the corresponding theta value we don't change here and there. Subject to the same theta, the new height is taken. එහෙනම් බලන්න මෙතන මේ height එක 1 නේ. multiply කරනවා දෙකෙන්. Then we get 1 into 2 is 2. This point is 2. What is the height here? 0. 2 into 0 is 0. This same height. What is the height here? Minus 1. Minus 1 we multiply by 2. Minus 2 coming. This. Here 0. Right. And this is 0. Minus 1 becomes minus 2. And 0 plus 1 becomes plus 2. And this is 0. Then the new graph we can sketch. This is the y equals to sin theta. Right. How to draw this y equals minus cos theta? Take the cos theta graph. Then by what value we have to multiply the heights? By this minus 1. Minus sign means minus 1. Then every height we should multiply by minus 1. Then what is this height? It is plus 1. When you multiply that plus 1 by minus 1, 1 into minus 1, or minus 1 into 1, it's minus 1. So therefore this height will be now minus 1. It is here. This height is 0. 0 multiplied by minus 1 is 0. This height is minus 1. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is plus 1. At 5, it's plus 1 here. And this is 0. Here plus 1, that will be minus 1. And here is 0, this is plus 1. And this is 0, this is minus 1. So the graph comes like this. This is the y equals minus cos theta graph. Minus cos theta graph. Right? Now people taken this all into account. Can we draw one graph? It is this. It is this. Wait for a while. Cos theta plus 30, right? And multiply this by 2 and plus 1. See here, How to draw this graph? ළමයි බලන්න මේ graph එක අපිට අඳින්න ඕන නම් කාටද කියන්න පුළුවන්ද කොහොමද මේ graph එක අඳින්නේ කියලා? ඔව් ළමයි දැන් හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන් නේද? දැන් අද ඔයගොල්ලෝ පන්තිය පටන් ගන්නකොට sin theta cos theta tan theta graph එක විතරයි පුළුවන්. දැන් බලන්න දැන් මේ වගේ graph එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඳ ගන්න දැන් හිතන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද්ද ළමයි කියන්නේ? ඉස්සරහට මෙයා ගන්නවා. How to draw that one? We draw the cos theta graph. And since we have added 30, we have to shift. When we add something, people, we said what? We take the graph back. We draw the cos theta graph, and secondly, cos theta graph we take to left by 30. And then we get this one. After getting this one, how to take this? That graph should be multiplied by 2. Without changing the theta here and there, only the height we multiply by 2. Then that one we can draw 2 cos theta plus 30 we can draw, taking this graph, multiplying its what? Height by 2. Then we get this. Then how to draw the whole thing? Now this graph, when we add 1, what happens? When we add something, the graph completely going up by 1 unit. So therefore, this graph we take upward by 1 unit. Then see here, we can draw this. But people, when we draw this one, all these steps we use at once. How people? First we draw cos theta graph. Then cos theta graph we take to left by 30. That point we find. Then since we multiply this by 2, that corresponding y value we multiply by 2. Then we add another one. Understand? Then we plot that point. Shall I repeat that again? First we draw the cos theta graph. Then to draw this graph, bring that cos theta graph leftward by 30. Since that is multiplied by 2, that height we multiply by 2. Now 1 is added, no? That new point we raise that again upward by 1. Then that point is marked. හරිද ළමයි? cos theta graph එක අපි අඳිනවා ඉස්සල්ලා. 30 add වෙලා තියෙන හින්දා cos theta graph එක වම් පැත්තට ගේනවා 30 වලින්. 2 වලින් multiply වෙලා තියෙන හින්දා වම් පැත්තට ගෙන ආපු height එක 2 times කරනවා. දෙගුණයක් කරනවා. එකක් add වෙලා තියෙන හින්දා ඒ දෙගුණයක් ආපු එකට ආයෙත් එකක් උස්සනවා. ඒ ලැබෙන අලුත් වෙන point එක මාක් කරගන්නවා. ඒ වගේ points මාක් කරලා මේක අපි හිමිට join කරනවා. එතකොට මේ graph එක අපිට ලැබෙනවා. අනිවාර්යයෙන් මම 2-3 minutes දෙන්න. Right? We'll draw that one people. Thereafter another one more we have discussed. Then the graph we can finish. Right? Yeah. All right, people, then draw this. Count this. Sketch the graph of question. Sketch the graph of y equals 2 cos theta plus 30 plus 1. Draw this, please, people. I think you can draw this. I am drawing now cos theta graph. First draw people the cos theta graph. 1, 90, minus 90, minus 5, minus 1. This is a cos theta graph, right? Now, people will think this one, this point. What is this height? 1, no? Right. Theta is 30, no? When we add 30, this point we have to take to left by 30. 30 means here 90, no? We have divided this into 3 equal parts this way. This point we take to here. Then still the height is 1, no? Then that height is 1 now. That should multiply by 2. This height is now 1, should be multiplied by 2. Then we get 1 into 2 is 2. And this 1 is added. What is that? 3. Then this was the point. This height is 1 multiplied by 2. 2 into 1 is 2. Adding 1 is 3. Then at this angle, the new y value is 3. Right here. Sorry. What we did? This point I took to left by 30. Then the height is this. That height is multiplied by 2. Height is still 1, no? 2 into 1 is 2. Adding 1 is 3. Then at this angle, the new y value is 3. Like that, we find the points and smoothly join them. Then we get the new curve. Hurry up, people. You can take this too. Right, I'll give 2-3 minutes. Hurry up. We'll take the next points. Right. This point we take to left by 30. Height is 0 now. 2 into 0 is 0. Adding 1 is 1. So, therefore, this point goes to 1 this level.
This is minus 1. Bring to left by 30. Minus 1 into 2 is minus 2. Again add in 1. This point we take to left by 30. Height is minus 1. That minus 1 we multiply by 2. Then we get minus 2. Minus 2 plus 1 is again minus 1. Still the same point. This is 0. And we have to take this to the left by 30. 2 into 0 is 0. It's 1. And this we take to left by 30. This is 1. 1 we multiply by 2. We get 2. Add in another 1, we get 3. The height is 0, new height is 1. This one we get to left by 30, minus 1, then minus 2, adding 1 is minus 1. This is 0, 30, and in 1 is plus 1. Yeah, it's 3, no? Let's see if we get that. How we get that people. Right. As the last one, people, to draw like y equals sine 2 theta and cos 2 theta. Thereafter, we can come to the general solution part. General solution part. Okay, right. Right now, write down the next question like this. Sketch the graphs of
y equals sine 2 theta. People now see here the theta only multiplied by 2. This is different from people 2 sine theta. Here 2 has been used to multiply this all sine theta. But here 2 is used to multiply this theta and taken sine. They are two different things, right? Okay. Sketch the graph of y equals sine 2 theta and y equals cos 2 theta. Sine 2 theta and cos 2 theta. Right. They get people? Right. First we'll take to draw y equals sine 2 theta graph. Kau lama yang sine 2 theta graph ini. Right. Kami yang magaw. Sine 2 theta. We take like this. Theta 0. Put here. 2 into 0 is 0. Sine 0 is 0. Theta 0, y 0. This point. Theta 45. Put theta 45 here. Theta 45. 2 into 45 is 90. Sine 90. 1. Theta 45 means people exactly midway between 0 and 90. Here it is 1. Next one we put theta 90. Put the 90 here. 2 into 90 is 180. Sine 180. Sine 180 is 0. Why 0? This 90 means here. Here it is 0. Another point is 0. Next one. We take theta 135. Put theta 135. 2 into 135 is 270. Sine 270 is minus 1. 135 means exactly in between this and this. Right? It is minus 1. 135 means people 5 by 2 plus 45. 90 plus 45 is 135. Yes. Here y minus 1. Next one, theta 180. Here put sine 2 times 180. 2 into 180 is 360. Sine 360 is 0. Right? That is when theta 180 means pi, no? This is 0. See here what has happened. Yeah. Now if I join this here,
this kind of thing we get. I do that by using broken curve. This is a sine 2 theta graph in between 0 and 180. People, what has happened? You can think it like this. ඒක ළමයි මෙන්න මෙහෙම හිතන්න පුළුවන්. මේක තමයි sin theta graph එක. Sin theta graph එකකින් here from here to here මෙතන ඉඳලා මෙතෙන්ට අපි කියන එක loop එකක් කියලා. මෙතන ඉඳන් මෙතෙන්ට තව loop එකක්. We take two loops from sin theta graph. Then the whole two loops, 1, 2. That two loops have been brought into one loop like this. See? The original graph sin theta is this. Sin theta graph එක ළමයි මේක. මෙතන දෙක තියෙන හින්දා sin theta graph එකෙන් loops දෙකක් ගන්නවා. අරගෙන ඒ loops දෙක අකුලනවා sin theta graph එකේම එක loop එකක් අස්සට. නේද? මේ loop දෙක ගත්තා. ඔය දෙක අරගෙන මෙතන ඉඳලා මෙතෙන් තියෙන සම්පූර්ණ loop දෙක sin theta graph එකේ එක loop එකක් තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. sin theta graph එකකින් loop දෙකක් ගන්නවා. අයිය අපි දෙකක් ගන්නෙ. මෙතන දෙක තියෙන හින්දා. sin theta graph එකකින් loops දෙකක් අරගෙන ඒ loop දෙක හිර කරනවා එකක් අස්සේ මේ මේකනේ එක loop එකක් වෙන්නේ. ඒක අස්සේ මේ loop දෙකම අරගෙන මෙහෙම අකුලනවා. Understood people? In row with the sin 2 theta graph, since here we have sin, first take sin graph. Since here we have 2, take from the sin graph 2 loops. Now that 2 loops we shrink into one loop on the sin theta graph. Sin theta graph එකකින් loops දෙකක් අරගෙන දෙකක් ගන්න මෙතන දෙක තියෙන හින්දා. දෙකක් අරන් ඒ දෙක අකුලනවා එකක් අස්සට. මේ කැලලම හෝම අරගෙන මේක කල්ලු කරගෙනවා එකක් ගාවට. එතකොට මේ දෙන්න පැක් වෙලා එනවා මෙහෙම. එහෙනම් මෙතන 3 ටික තිබුණා මොකද ළමයි වෙන්නේ? මේකේ loop තුනක් ගන්නවා. මෙහෙම. අරගෙන ඒ තුනම අකුලනවා මේ එකක් අස්සට. එහෙනම් මේ පැත්ත කැලල ගන්න පුළුවන්. මෙයා මේ කැලලම මේක අස්සේ තියන්න ඕනේ. මේ කැලල loops දෙකයි මේ කැලලම අස්සට ගෙන්න ඕනේ මෙහෙම. ඒක කොහොමද දෙන්න ඕනේ? මෙතෙන්ට ආවා, මෙතෙන්ට ගියා, මෙතෙන්ට ගියා, මෙතෙන්ට ගියා. නේද? අර නේද? මේ loops දෙක අපි ගන්නවා. අරගෙන මෙහෙම තෙරපලා ගේනවා එකක් අස්සට. එතකොට මේක මෙහාට යනවා. මේක මෙතෙන්ට යනවා. මේක මෙතෙන්ට එනවා. මේක මෙතෙන්ට එනවා. That is the method, people. That is the method. Right? Yeah. Adin, take that one. This is the graph of y plus sin 2 theta. Graph of y plus sin 2 theta. Theta 180, we get y 0, right? Then people try to draw y plus cos 2 theta. Draw y equals cos 2 theta using the same hint. Take the same hint. So the y equals cos 2 theta graph, people. Right, we'll draw that one. Y equals cos 2 theta now. Theta 0, 2 into 0 is 0, 2 into 0 is 0, cos 0 is 1. Y equals 1. Theta 45, 2 into 45 is 90, cos 90 is 0. Theta 0 is 1, y is 1, this point is 1 point. Theta 45, y is 0. 45 is here, people. Y is here. Theta 90, cos 180 minus 1. Theta 90, y minus 1. Here is it. Then theta, next one, 135. Put theta 135 here. 2 into 135 means 270, cos 270. Cos 270, people, 0. 135 is here, no, in between 90 and 180. Then, when I put theta 180, the 180, cos 2 into 180 is 360, cos 360 is 1. It is this. We can do that, no? Like that you get people. This one now repeats again. Right? Minus 45. When I put cos 2 into minus 45. Cos minus 90. Cos 90 0. This passes to find this. 5 by 2 is minus 1. This is how it goes. This way we get people y equals cos 2 theta. Right, people, this all under the trigonometric graphs we have discussed, but this is the fundamental things. But at the examination, people, some complicated graphs we need to draw. Those graphs we are supposed to draw in the second part of the discussion of the trigonometry. That part we start next week. Okay. So
So now graphs available, people. With this knowledge, really, we can get the idea how to draw the graphs which are coming at the examination style questions, right? So now I drew this one in order to get a rough idea how to draw a graph. This knowledge is very important, people, when we draw the graphs of trigonometric examination style questions. Okay, so next week I suppose to start the general solution part, and once we do the past paper sums only, people, when we come to that level only, I suppose to discuss graph sketching part again for some complicated functions involving sine and cos. Understood? So in the past papers, when you go to the past papers, you can see in many years sketching this kind of trigonometric graphs questions available. So therefore it is a worthwhile, right? So then as a pre-knowledge only, people, we drew this graph. This idea is very important in drawing those graphs. So then next Wednesday, suppose we supposed to, people, start the general solution part and sine rule and cosine rule. Thereafter we come to the past paper sum. And in the group Monday, the Friday group also, people, we just discussed some questions. Not we went deeply to the question discussions. I did only 2 or 3 questions in past papers. And your case also, I do like that. And in the future, after another 2-3 months, people, again we take the whole lesson and we do questions from the very beginning in that trigonometry, including the more complicated questions. That is how every year I complete the trigonometry, because at once when you take all, people, some questions are more complicated. Now, even though we try to work out those kind of questions, people, how many of you can remember that all 28 formulae and the rest all results at the moment? If most of you are okay, that's good sign, people. Like that, for all students, I don't think that all the students, almost all students, can manage this way. Take some time, they take some time to remember this all. That occasion only, people, the best occasion to do this first question. So therefore, I leave some time. Thereafter, I discuss from the very beginning. Then only, people, the whole lesson you will get complete to your mind. So therefore, first I do the questions, not going to deeper, and then having another 2-3 months, we take again the lesson and we do more complicated sums. Okay, so then we meet next Wednesday evening, and we'll start, people, that general solution part. Okay, thereafter we can go to sine rule and cosine rule. Thereafter we come to the past paper sums. Okay, any question today regarding the lesson? Yeah, today most of the students, of course, I think some students today absent because they trying to join the physical classes. But last week I emphasized to everybody, though you join the physical class, you have to continue this class until the lesson finishes. But some of the students, of course, didn't get this message clearly. They should watch this recording and complete the notes. And people, now today onwards, I am not going to put the recording freely so that everybody can watch. If somebody needs the recording to watch today's lesson, please send me your email address. Then your email address I am going to register. Then after registering that, you will receive one email message saying activate your Zoom account. In that email message, people, you will get a link. Once you click that link, some questions are there. After filling them, you will be asked activate your Zoom account. Then put yes there. Oh, okay. Then I get the return message. Thereafter, I'll send you to the group the link of the recording. Once you click that link of the relevant recording, people, again a few questions we have to answer. Soon after answering that, okay, send me then I can approve that means your permission to watch the recording. So now here in after I am not going to put that link so that everybody can watch this freely. Okay, so because of this reason, most of the students, they are really not coming to the class and just watching the recording. They cover everything, so everybody get the idea that why should we pay after every class he put the recording, then why should we pay? We have the easiest way, then why should we pay and go? මේ මෙතන නේ ළමයි. එක ළමෙක් මම මතකයි 2020 ළමෙක් this April ඉඳලා April month එකේ ඉඳලා last month එකට යනකල් Monday class එකේ එයා recording බලලා පන්ති දිගට මෙතන තියෙනවා. මම ඊට පස්සේ recording එකේ මේ විදිහට බෑන් කරාට පස්සේ ඒ ළමයා වෙනවා සර් recording එක බලන්න බෑනේ කියලා. ඒ ළමයාගේ නමත් මට හුරු නෑ මොකද ළමයා ඇවිල්ලා නෑනේ. මම ඇහුවා ඔයා පන්තිට ආවේ නැද්ද කියලා. පන්තිට ආවා සර් පන්තිට ආවේ නෑ recording බලපන් කියලා. පන්තිවේදී recording බලපන් ඉන්නේ පන්තිට. ඇයි ආවේ නැත්තේ කියලා මම නම අහනකොට එහෙම නමක් නෑ. ඉතින් ඒ ළමයි payments කරලත් නෑ. පන්ති ඉතින් recording බලලා ඉතින් කමක් නෑ. ඊට පස්සේ payments එක කරන්න කිව්වට පස්සේ ළමයා disappear. ඉතින් එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න ටිකක් තියෙනවා නේද? දැන් කොහමදත් දැන් Zoom එකේ අපි මේක රෙගියුලේට් කරාට ඒකෙත් සමහර ළමයි එක එක විදිහට බලනවා කියලා ආරංචි. මේ බලමු අපි දැන් ළඟකදී අපි වෙබ්සයිට් එකකට යනවා. එහෙම ගිහුවම එහෙම කරන්න බැරි වෙනවා. වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ තමයි අපි ලින්ක් එක දාන්න ඊට පස්සේ ඒක අපිට ලිමිට් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඉස්සරහට. ඉතින් එහෙම ළමයි එක තමයි අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ ළමයි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගැන නෙමෙයි කිව්වේ ඈ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගැන නෙමෙයි කිව්වේ. එහෙම ළමයි ඉන්නවා. රයිට්. ඒ නිසා අපි ඒ විදිහට කරන්න ඉස්සරහට ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ ඊමේල් එක දාන්න group එකට. නැත්නම් personally මගේ number එක දාන්න group එකට දාන්න එපා. මගේ number එක දාන්න. 07155 number එක තියෙනවනේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව. ඒ number එකට දාන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ නමත් එක්ක. මේ number 075594865. මේකට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දාන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ නම group එක වෙනස්ටි group එකේ දාන්න. මේ email එක දාන්න. ඒක මම එකෙන් copy කරලා අරගෙන ඒක හදන්නයි. Right. So then that way you have to request the recording. Okay. So then people, today we come to the end of the lesson and we meet next Wednesday evening at 9. Right. Then good night to everybody. We meet next week.